Now, well, we're live already. Okay, guys, we're here live outside of a slaughterhouse here in the UK. This is an ABP slaughterhouse where they're executing cows. We're here today to show you secrets from the industry that relies off of secrecy. They do not want you to see these secrets, and we're going to show you every single one of them. Please, as you're coming in the room, double tap the live stream, subscribe, and put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe and put 2 in the chat if you're not vegan, but you're open-minded to the conversation around veganism and wondering why we're here live streaming. Subscribe and put 3 in the chat if being kind to animals triggers you. We're here today not to cause alarm, harassment, distress, or any form of intimidation. We're here today under the rights of our freedom of speech, our right to assembly, and right to protest. Now, this industry is working hard to keep the truth from the consumers and from the public at all times. They've got security here running what usually is an automatic gate. They're running it manually to keep what we're trying to show you hidden. They don't want you to see the animals as they come past. When good people see the animals as they come past, they connect, and if you connect, then you go vegan and you stop funding this business. And I say business for a reason. You got a question already?
Oh, we've got Adam Day back, who went vegan yesterday, but where
Adam,
are you
welcome
today?
back in, Adam. Welcome back in. What was I saying today? I said something about, I can't remember.
He put, where are you today?
Today we're outside of an ABP slaughterhouse. This is a slaughterhouse that specifically kills cows from the dairy industry and from the beef industry. Please make sure everyone's subscribed and hit 1 if you're vegan, subscribe and hit 2 if you're not vegan but you're open-minded to these conversations. Subscribe and put 3 in the chat. If you are anti-vegan, double tap the live stream. Please like, share and subscribe. Did you know that over 20% of dairy cows go to the slaughterhouse pregnant because dairy cows are sold on how much they weigh at the end of their life, because their primary reason of being exploited is for their breast milk. Imagine this, guys. The industry has told us that you're a baby cow and that you have to take the breast milk from a cow for calcium. Why would our bodies be designed to specifically only drink cow's milk for calcium? That would be the worst design of the human anatomy in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's not designed to do that. This is deception by design from the industry. They've deceived you into believing this is the case so that you feel in fear that if you don't support the dairy industry, you're going to become unhealthy and have low calcium. Calcium actually comes from green, leafy veg, not from a different species milk. Would you drink dog milk or would you drink rat milk? If you came to my house and I gave you rat milk coffee, would you drink it? No, but you're conditioned to drink cow's milk. What is the actual difference? Subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat. If you're not vegan, but you're open-minded to these conversations, subscribe and put 3 in the chat. If you are anti-vegan, we're live here outside of a slaughterhouse to show you the truth. Double tap the live stream. And if you want to see the truth further, then click on the top 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. And the link that we have here today is our Linktree link. In that Linktree link, you have links to Dominion, you have links to Pignorant, you have links to Help to Go Vegan. Oh, Adam, click on that Linktree link today and go to the bottom where it says Help to Go Vegan, and John the Bodybuilding Vegan link is at the bottom of that Linktree link today. That would be really helpful for you as well with your rugby and all that sort of stuff too. We're not here to clash with you guys. Yesterday we had such a good stream because we had so many people asking questions and talking to us. I hope that this truck isn't doing what I think it is.
What truck?
If it is, we need to send more emails. If this happens...
What truck? What are they doing?
Well, you're going to see it at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
Let's wait and see.
If they do, I think they are, Steve.
If that is, then we're going to have to just send emails for that.
Yeah,
guys,
they're coming in here.
Subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat. If you're not vegan, but you're open-minded to the conversation, subscribe and put 3 in the chat. If you don't care about animals.
Coming in here.
Why the hell is Vivera on the side of a truck coming to an animal slaughterhouse? What the hell is going on? We're going to email them later on.
They're owned by a meat company, aren't they?
That's the second time that that's happened.
Yeah.
We need to highlight this because this is absolutely horrific.
Vegans, maybe message them, email them, say why the first time they said it was a mistake and it will never happen again, and now it's happening again right now.
Here it is live. What's today? 31st of July. It is 11:15 outside ABP Slaughterhouse here in Guildford. And this is happening. It's not the driver's fault. We can't send him to the driver, he doesn't know. But look how long it takes them to open up the gates when there's no animals. When there's no animals, it takes ages. But you watch when the animals turn up today, you watch how quick that they do this. Look at the traffic stopped.
He just stopped it there.
Look at the traffic stop. That truck's still running, by the way. That truck's still running. You left your engine running. You can't leave an engine running like that. It's against the law. Do slaughterhouses just think they can just do whatever they want? Have they got their own laws? Leaving a running engine like that with a plant-based company on the side going into an animal slaughterhouse. What the hell is happening? This is crazy, guys. We're here live outside ABP Slaughterhouse. This is happening right now. I want you to just take note. This has been at least 3 minutes, I would say, before that gate is even open.
Yeah,
3-4 minutes. They've held up all that traffic. Now, if the police come here and we held up the traffic like that for the animal trucks, we'd be arrested. So why are they allowed to hold up the traffic here like that to try and keep the secrecy from the consumer? Subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're not vegan but you're open-minded to these conversations. Subscribe and put 3 in the chat if you don't care about animals. This is a slaughterhouse. And this company is a plant-based company going in here. Shame on them.
Yeah, they're owned by the biggest meat company. I think they're the biggest in the world, JBS,
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
I spoke to them last time when this happened. They said that will never happen again, and it has.
More life, less meat on the way into a fucking animal slaughterhouse.
What the hell?
Fucking
what
hell.
the hell?
Guys, we're here today because we want to bring the plight to the animals to the forefront of everybody's social media screens. We are live outside of a slaughterhouse to bring you nothing more than the truth as it happens. We can only report on this system. You are the ones who have to take action. If what we're saying to you and what we're showing you makes you feel uncomfortable or upset, the great option is you can remove that your personal accountability and go vegan. Subscribe and put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're not vegan. Be open-minded to these conversations. Subscribe and put 3 in the chat if you are anti-vegan. Double tap the live stream. Please like, share, and subscribe. Go into the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner. Click on the Linktree link. Go and watch Dominion and go and watch Ignorant, and you will see why we're here today. The public at the moment, the transparency has been removed. It's been replaced by lies. Things like humane slaughter, ethical animal farming. These are all a lot of nonsense. Things like it's necessary to eat animals for protein. It's necessary to drink cow's milk for calcium. All a bunch of lies to keep this business profiting. We're here today to show you the truth, to stop that profit. And this is where the power comes into your hands. You have the ability to stop the profit. When you stop funding these industries, when you stop demanding animals to go to slaughterhouses, animals will stop going to slaughterhouses. We will then end up with vegan world. We'll end up with vegan products. We'll end up with no animals dying for things like taste pleasure, social pressure, religion, culture, all the other nonsense that animals die for. Subscribe, put 1 if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 if you're not vegan, be open-minded to these conversations. Subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you are anti-vegan. And we swap in with Mel.
That's annoyed me so much. So last time when one of those trucks comes in, they were like, we promised that they didn't pick up any animal bodies and things like that. And they were like, we know it will never happen again. They did an investigation. It's happened again.
Security's on his phone. Security's on the phone.
I'll be emailing them. We got the reg, we have the number plate. We've just seen what they've done just to illegally stop traffic as well. Disgusting. Disgusting. How do people do this? Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet. Subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Double tap the live stream, like, share, and comment. This is a slaughterhouse. Behind me, they are killing cows from the dairy industry and the beef industry. This is horrific. This is the most urgent issue of our time that you can stop today by being vegan.
Great question from Thing1801. What's the difference between vegan and vegetarian?
Thank you so much for your question. So vegetarian is just a diet. It's the opposite of what veganism is. People go vegetarian thinking that that's good for the animals, but it's no different. Vegetarian, it is the egg and the dairy industry is the meat industry itself. There's basically, if you imagine a line here, and this is animal agriculture. The people paying for animal agriculture and the oppression of animals are non-vegans, pescatarians and vegetarians, but these people just may not know the industry, so that's why we're here to show the truth. Now, veganism is an ethical stance against the use and exploitation of animals. It's like being against racism. This is against speciesism, so we don't use those individuals for our own purpose, experiment on them or anything like that, but it relates to your diet because animals are used in the food system. So that's why a lot of people think that veganism is a diet, but it's an ethical stance. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe at the top, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded, but not vegan yet. Subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Also, anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about and wants to know more maybe, please go to the link in the description and watch Dominion on YouTube and see the reality, because a lot of people just don't understand what happens, and that is not your fault. So we are not here saying you're bad people, you're a horrible person. We're just saying you have been lied to and you may not know the industries that we also were lied about ourselves. For 26 years I paid for these places. I didn't understand what happened inside these places or the facts that my my vote with my money by buying meat, eggs, dairy, leather, wool, fish, feathers and things like that, was paying for the exploitation of someone else to be killed, tortured and mutilated alive, and I couldn't be that person paying for that, because I wouldn't want to be in their position. Treat others how you would want to be treated is the golden rule, and many people don't even follow it themselves. But you're not even given the chance to know the industry. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan, subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded, but you're not vegan yet, and subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Steve, maybe we'll show everyone the lairage. Show everyone the lairage. Now that truck's gone, guys, stay on the live stream. We're just about to show you inside the slaughterhouse what a lairage. So this is where the animals will be taken off and sentenced inside. They'll be forced off the truck inside this place, which they call a lairage, which I call a dungeon. It's like a metal, horrible environment where they basically, it's a holding pen until the kill floor is ready to kill them. So when the kill floor is empty and they're ready for the next cows to come in, they'll force them onto a kill floor. They'll be bolt gunned in the head, maybe, because they've been done for not doing that here, have they? There's been lack of stunning here, hasn't there, as well? Even if the stunning did work, the animals still feel everything. The stunning process is not for the animals, it is for the humans who are killing the animals to make it safer for the humans when they come at them with a knife. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan, subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet, subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan, double tap the live stream, like, comment and share. Those cows, after they've had a bolt gun in their head and they've been incapacitated to the floor, they'll then experience a knife across their throat. They'll be decapitated as they are hung up by one leg, and their blood will drip out of their body on the floor of this place. How many individuals' blood has been spilt on the floor of this place because you're not vegan? I used to pay for these evil places and I just didn't know. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan, subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet, subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan.
John, SAN4D, said this can't be live. John, we are live.
Yeah, this is live. What's the time you'll watch? 20
It's 11:23.
11:23. Friday is today. This is live outside a slaughterhouse. We live stream. We have been live streaming outside different slaughterhouses for over a year, every single week. We've listened to the cries of these animals. We've listened to them beg for mercy, and all we've heard from inside is no mercy, and it's shouting abuse, and it's torture to these dear animals. Did you know 20% of cows go to slaughter pregnant? Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan, subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet, subscribe at the top of the live stream, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan, double tap this live stream, keep asking questions. I appreciate your time being on this live stream. This is one of the most important live streams that you will ever be on. This is life and death for these animals.
What would you say to someone who said wool is fine?
Say what? Wool?
Wool.
I would say that it's not your fault that you think that, but in the wool industry it's very abusive, it's very horrific. I used to buy Ugg boots because I thought they were fine. I thought the wool industry was innocent. I thought, yeah, cool, I like them, they're cool. Ugg boots is basically the skin of someone and then the wool of somebody. The sheep have been genetically modified to grow too much wool, so naturally they should actually molt like when in the warmer weather, they should molt like your dog or your cat would molt. But they have been seen as a product, so basically they've been genetically modified to grow loads of wool and they don't molt, okay? What also happens is that the way they make them pregnant is horrific, and all those animals in the wool industry are killed. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan, subscribe and put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet, subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Another thing that they do to little lambs, basically they put them in a contraption where they can't move, and then they will cut all their back legs here and at their bum area, so it creates scar tissue because they don't look after the animals properly, and they can be prone to fly strike. So instead, they do that to try and evade that, and they also tie elastic band around the little lambs' tails to stop the blood flow going into their tails to rot and drop off as well, and they are all killed.
Zeke, but why can't you just have halal meat which doesn't torture animals?
It does torture animals, of course it does. And if there wasn't any torture, it's still wrong. You're taking away someone's life. What about if I leant your neck back and I said a quick prayer and then I slashed your neck with a knife? You'd say that's brutal murder. It's brutal murder to these animals. People put halal in front of the word slaughter or whatever. It's horrific. Did you know the majority of animals that you think is halal is stun animals? There's no different. You have to have a special certification, which is like tiny percent of slaughterhouses that have that, but it's still wrong. Regardless of how you kill them, it is still wrong. And there's no halal certification on dairy, is there? Or eggs, or the farms. Animal farms, animal exploitation camps are abuse and torture and murder, on every single one of them. But people don't think about that. They only think about the label. Oh, if I see the word halal, that aligns with my religion, but what aligns with your religion more is not hurting anybody at all. In fact, in your religion, it says you shouldn't harm any animal, even as small as a sparrow, or you'll be thrown in the depths of hell if you do it unjustly. This is unjust. You don't need to do this. There's no necessity. Therefore, there's a lack of justification. Back in the day, you may have needed to kill humans or animals to survive, but you don't. You don't now. This is just an evil business. It's not an industry that you need. It's not the backbone of society, and without animal agriculture, in fact, we'd thrive more, and then animals would not be killed on behalf of you.
I like animals saying, look, it just tastes good.
Yeah, well, that doesn't justify, just because you get pleasure from something doesn't justify an immoral act when there's a victim. Just like other things you could get pleasure from doesn't justify a victim. You can get all the same taste pleasure from all the alternatives. Vegan burgers taste the same, vegan chicken, vegan everything. There's no justification to do this to animals for simply a taste pleasure or anything. There's no justification.
Andrea said it's only bad because of how they are slaughtered, but it doesn't mean that we need to stop eating meat.
Yeah, it does. It's horrific. It's horrific. What if I came to your house and I killed you in the way that you think is okay to kill you then? Okay? Now you would call that murder, and you'd scream and you'd be like, well, there's a murder scene happening. But what if I said, well, they told me this is the most humane way to do it to animals, so I can kill them and eat them, right? I'll let Jeffrey Dahmer know how your best way to kill animals it is, so he can then kill humans in that same way, okay? Understand what you are saying. You're advocating for the murder, torture, and abuse of animals if you are not vegan and you're trying to find excuses. I don't believe you know what you are trying to justify, okay? Because go and look in the link in the description, watch Dominion so you can really educate yourself, because right now you don't understand, and that's not your fault. It's the way the industry wants you to be, and you've been lied to and you've been mugged off, and so did I and Steve as well. We used to pay for this. We used to believe their lies, but they are lies. Please subscribe and hit 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, hit 2 in the chat if you're open-minded, but you're not vegan yet. Subscribe, hit 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Double tap the live stream, like, share, and comment.
People are trying to say that halal is good, or like religious slaughter is okay. Someone said, Zeke said there are bad police and good police. That doesn't mean that all police are bad. I think that they're not looking at it from the victim's perspective.
Yeah, you're not looking at it from the victim's perspective at all. What if I took a knife and there was a sheep here, little baby lamb, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to kill them in a halal way. I'll quickly say a prayer, no one can see them, they can't see anybody else, and I slished their throat open and I decapitated them, and I'll be like, that's all right, because it's in a halal way, so it's fine. The animal's just been killed. They've lost their right to their own body. They've been exploited and used for something you don't even need. That is disgusting. What about if you had another option, where you had a knife and you had a lamb here, and you just had kindness on this side with all the other things that you could consume and eat? Why would you willingly choose to slash someone's throat against their will? They don't want to die, they're little babies and they need protected. If you are believing halal, then you have been fooled, okay? You have been fooled. Same with stun, you have been fooled. You don't understand what you are trying to justify. Please subscribe, put 1 in the chat if you're vegan. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're open-minded but not vegan yet. Subscribe, put 3 in the chat if you're anti-vegan. Double tap the live stream, like, comment, and share. The most abusive thing that you can ever do to someone is take their life away from them. That's all they have.
We've got so many number 2s in the chat right now.
Awesome. Many people who are like, oh, there's a better way, or I only get halal. You don't even think about the farm. You don't think about the forcible impregnation. All those animals are great without the G. All of them. Every single animal in the farming industry, that's what happens to them, because they're a business that have to keep their stock, which they call the animals, at a certain height, because when the demand for animal products is here, they have to force the animals into existence to meet that demand. So when people go vegan, they lower that demand for animals. So eventually the animals won't be forced into existence anymore.
Salcombe Crab is just spouting a lot of misinformation. Meat is a rich source of complete protein, essential vitamins like B12, and vital minerals such as iron and zinc that help build muscle, prevent fatigue, and support overall body function.
Okay,
all misinformation.
No. Yeah, you have been lied to. Sadly, you've believed something that's completely false, and again, that's not your fault. The industry have mugged you off and you've believed it. Okay, all our nutrients come from plants. When you say things like B12, you're forgetting that the animals have been supplemented B12. B12 is actually a vitamin that comes from the soil in the ground, which is no longer there because our ground has been so depleted from farming so much that they put cobalt on the ground or inject that into the animals, which is the B12 that you're talking about. Leave animals alone and just have B12 and soy milk. It's so easy. It's so easy. Why would you try and find an excuse to be violent to someone? Imagine if dogs only have B12. Are you trying to get B12?
Yeah. Or humans. Imagine if you could only get B12 from other humans. Would it mean that it's ethically justified to stab and eat humans? Or would you just get fortified oat milk and just drink oat milk, or have nutritional yeast to get your B12? Guys, subscribe and one in the chat. If you're vegan, subscribe, put 2 in the chat. If you're not vegan but you're open-minded to these conversations, subscribe and put 3 in the chat. If you are anti-vegan, if being kind to animals triggers you, double tap the live stream. Please like, share and subscribe. Put it all on your socials as well if you can. Share to your socials.
Yeah.
And if you can, click on the top 3 dots in the top right hand corner and go and watch Dominion, the top documentary, and the one underneath it, Pignorant, to see the truth and reality of what happens to animals behind the gates that we're stood in front of right now, slaughterhouses. That's right, we're live outside of a slaughterhouse to bring the truth to the consumer, to show you the truth that the industry tries so hard to keep from you. They don't want you to even see the animals coming in these places, because when good people see what happens to animals, they go vegan. Yesterday, we were outside of a slaughterhouse that executes horses, and we had amazing conversations. People were putting some really good questions in the chat. So many people went vegan because we were able to converse. If you're here today and you're not vegan, I urge you to put sensible questions in the chat that you may have so we can talk about it. We're here today as an objective to stop this happening to animals. We don't do that just by standing here and clashing with you. We do that by standing here and talking to you. We weren't born vegan, but we saw an injustice. We saw what happened to the animals. And then we went vegan off the back of that education. And this is what we're trying to do for you here today too.
Yeah, thanks Renee so much for your kind super thanks.
Thank you, Renee.
They put something about B12 in here for everybody to, or B vitamins for everybody to have a look at. Please go and have a look at that comment.
Absolutely. And the point about if humans have B12, would you kill humans? You can use this, like if you've got a question, put a human in the place of the animals and ask yourself, is it ethical then?
Andrea put, is honey okay to eat for vegans?
Amazing question, Andrea. Thank you so much for asking that. And no, honey is not okay to eat for vegans. I'm going to explain the honey industry, but as I'm doing so, guys, please subscribe, put 1 in the chat for vegans, subscribe and 2 in the chat for non-vegans who are kind, subscribe and put 3 in the chat for anti-vegans, double tap the live stream and share on your socials. Now, the honey industry starts by taking the semen from the male drones. They do that by squeezing their abdomen so hard, a lot of the time they just basically crush them and pop them and kill them. They take that semen and they then force it and inject it inside of the female, the queen bee. They cut her wings off and pin her down to the floor so that the drones never leave the hive, so they keep coming back and producing honey. Honey is bee vomit. It's what they do when they're storing their food for the winter. They take the bee vomit and the honey away from the bees and replace it with sugary water. When that production slows down, when them bees can no longer keep up that work rate, or when they get old and they need to replace them, they often just set fire to the hive, smoke them out, kill them, and then replace them with a fresh stock of bees. You can buy bees off of the internet if you want to be a beekeeper, and you just keep repeating this system. It's intrusive, it's violent, it's exploitative. Bees are sentient. So no, vegans would never pay into that system, but thank you for such a great question.
And they're killing out our natural bees as well. XR avoid a slaughter. Is this a horse slaughterhouse?
This one is not a horse slaughterhouse. This is an ABP slaughterhouse where they kill cows from the dairy industry and the meat industry. 2 different breeds of cows, if you didn't know that already. Dairy cows are specifically bred for their breast milk, and meat cows are specifically bred for their meat. They're 2 different industries all together. The slaughterhouse we were at yesterday was the horse slaughterhouse. You can go to that live stream a little bit further back, and you can see the link we put in there from Animal Aid, the investigation. That was F. Drury's.
Yeah, swearing us and all sorts, weren't they there?
They shoot horses there, yeah.
One Mio put, can you tell me what you eat for protein? I'm actually curious. Please read this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your question. For me, I have a lot of seitan. Seitan is my favorite protein source. I also like tofu and tempeh, and then I'll just get the vegan chicken or the vegan burgers. My favorite vegan chicken is This Isn't Chicken, and my favorite vegan burgers are Beyond Burgers, but mainly I have seitan from the company called Tofu, and you get it in Sainsbury's, you get it in Tesco's. It's about £2 for a block, and it's got about 40 grams of protein in it. Just cook it how you'd cook anything else, air fryer. It's amazing. If you click on the link in this description, go to the bottom and to the Help to Go Vegan section. Our friend John, the bodybuilder vegan, has got a free e-guide, free recipe book. He's a big bodybuilder over in America. Go and check out that as well and download all of the free guides from him.
Okay, so I think we got MHA1B, who's a little bit confused. It's not your fault. They put cows do milk even if they don't have a baby, and chickens lay eggs even if they don't want babies.
Right, okay. Thank you so much again for being here and your time. Cows don't just produce milk without being pregnant. Cows are mammals. Their mums the same as human women are. They only produce breast milk. It's secretions for their babies. The dairy industry forces the pregnancy on them. They carry their baby for 9 months. Once they give birth, their babies are taken away. Males are executed because they're waste products in the dairy industry, and the mums go off to be extensively milked until they can no longer be milked. They shackle their legs, they chain them up, and then they stab them to death because they can't either calf, which is have another baby, or they produce less and less milk. That's the dairy industry. We're led to believe that maybe we just take a little bit of the excess, or maybe cows just keep on producing milk. This is absolutely false information. In the egg industry, you're right, some eggs are fertile, some eggs are not fertile. The non-fertile eggs are the egg industry, and what they do is they put females and males into a breeder shed, parent breeder shed. They force the pregnancy on the females. She then comes out and lays all the fertile eggs. All the fertile eggs that go to a hatchery are sexed male and female. Males again are put in blenders because they don't produce eggs. Females will go off to lay unfertile eggs in the egg industry. Now, when they can no longer keep up with the production line, which is around 300 eggs a year, which is on average around 18 months, they go to a gas chamber to be killed, and then they're replaced with a batch of fresh female egg-laying hens who lay unfertile eggs. And then they'll just take a small select group of them and then put them into the parent breeder sheds to produce fertile eggs. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to explain the egg industry. Subscribe and put 1 in the chat if you're vegan already. Subscribe, put 2 in the chat if you're not vegan, but you're open-minded to these conversations and why we're here today. Thank you for being here. Subscribe and put 3 in the chat if being kind to animals triggers you. Double tap the live stream. Please share on your socials.
We've got a few people asking, like, grass calories, but what does tofu taste like? I want to start eating it, but I'm really picky about what I eat. Where can they go for more help on this side of things?
Go to the help from John the Bodybuilder Vegan. Go into the link in the description. Go to the bottom and help to go vegan. And John's got an amazing e-guide and help with that there. You can also go to henchherbivore.com. Paul and Gemma are good friends of ours, vegan. Paul's a bodybuilder, Gemma's a chef. They got some free ebooks and free recipe guides as well. Tofu, when you first start cooking tofu, it takes a little bit of time to get the hang of it. I personally prefer seitan, but you know what, just Google some recipes as well.
Yeah, you can make tofu taste like anything. It's basically a blank canvas. Yeah. You know, like animal flesh tastes like nothing. You just have to put spices on to make it taste like, you have to put plants on it to make it taste like something.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got Alex K, but do you miss meat at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Alex, thank you for a good question. And these questions are amazing, guys. Please keep them coming. I'm going to answer that question. Subscribe 1 for vegan, subscribe 2 for not vegan but kind person, subscribe for 3 for anti-vegan, and double tap the live stream. I don't miss meat at all because you know what? When I went and had a Beyond Burger, I was like, this tastes better anyway. When I went and found seitan and tofu or vegan chicken, this tastes better anyway. The company that do This Isn't Chicken is absolutely amazing. So you don't miss the taste, but one thing you do feel in your heart is such a relief. When I went vegan and I stopped eating meals that consisted of animals or animal secretions, I knew that this meal didn't cause any pain and suffering to an individual, and it felt great. I didn't miss a thing. And this is one of the other things when you are vegan, you go, why didn't I do this earlier? Because I'm not missing out on anything. I have pizzas, burgers, you can have whatever you want. There's even vegan ice cream. For
me, the thought of like eating someone's body is disgusting. It's the same as the thought of eating like a human or a dog.
It's heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah.
It's not even like that it's gross, it's heartbreaking because someone had everything taken from them for a meal that you're gonna forget in about 2 weeks. You're gonna forget everything so quickly, but for them, it was everything. The bin men in Guildford are absolute morons, aren't they?
They're real man babies.
They're really triggered little morons.
Well, because we're trying to create peace.
For context, the bin men always come here and stand and swear at us and shout at us.
Yeah. Buddy Belford put, did you know most people can't be vegan because it's too expensive?
Rubbish. Cambridge University done a study on veganism and it proved that it's 30% cheaper. Would it be okay to be racist if it meant that I was financially better off? Would I be able to oppress you if I was financially better off? No. And you can eat and live within your means.
There's nothing more expensive than taking someone's life away from them.
Yeah, the true cost is what the animals pay from your ignorance. Be vegan.
One Mio put, my advice is really don't push it on other people, but instead you should say stuff. Don't put people lower for their opinions. What that does, it makes people don't want to listen to you, but that's not what we're doing at all.
And do you know what? Don't tell me how to advocate for the animals. Don't you dare tell me that if you told me that this cheese is nicer, I would have maybe had that cheese. This is all bullshit from you, that you're not gonna go vegan. You have no intention of going vegan if you're saying these comments. The people who are asking open-ended questions and genuine questions, they're the people who have the empathetic hearts and the kindness and the compassion. When someone jumps up and down and says, don't tell me what to do, you shouldn't tell me this, you should tell me it in a nicer way. If you'd have told me this way, then maybe I would have changed. This is all deflection and shielding. They would have said, if you would have said left, then I would have changed, but you said right, so now I'm not gonna. It's a load of BS, it's a distraction tactic. I see it all the time on outreach in the street. Stop making weak justifications and excuses for continuing your part in oppressing and exploiting animals.
They said, okay, but that's how it sounds. It only sounds like that to someone who may feel a bit guilty. Where can they go and watch the documentary?
If you want to see the truth and the reason why we talk with the way we talk without apologizing for telling you the truth, then click on the 3 dots in the description and go and watch Dominion. Watch it from beginning to end. Subscribe to this channel, watch Dominion. And then next week when we go live outside of a slaughterhouse, come back and then you tell me again if you think that we're sounding pushy. If you want me to sound pushy, I can sound really pushy, but you also can't say to someone, stop forcing it and stop pushing me, when you're the one who's actually forcing and pushing animals inside slaughterhouses. The only person who's controlling anyone right now is non-vegans controlling animals.
We're just telling you the truth. The industry itself, these animal agriculture industries, they forced propaganda on you and you believed it. That's why you pay for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no one has a go at them. This one comment, Big Allah, let real men have more steak.
Wow. It sounds to me like you're really insecure.
Yeah.
Like, do you need a hug? Do you need a cuddle? Like, by the way, there are studies done, right? This is really interesting. I'll tell you this really interesting study that was done. But as I'm telling you, subscribe and put 1 for vegans, subscribe, put 2 for non-vegans, subscribe, put 3 for anti-vegans. Double tap the live stream, like and share on your socials, and go into the description and click on the Linktree link to watch Dominion and Pignorant. Now, there was a social study done on groups of men. And it was around being alpha in a group of men or in a social dominant setting that was male dominant. The men who projected their masculinity in forms of we need meat, men, cavemen, and that like fake alpha BS, when it actually came to it and they were put into a situation where someone needed to be alpha or take charge, the ones who projected it most by saying comments like what you did was statistically the weakest of the group. It was actually the men who just sat back quietly, had their tofu, had their vegetables, had their seitan, didn't project how masculine they were, that when it came to it, they really were the ones that stepped up and did what needed to be done. And that's exactly what vegans are. Vegans are so strong of heart because no matter what oppression, ostracization, or judgment they may face from other people, we're still vegan because being vegan is the right thing to do. And you know it deep down if it's affecting you. Subscribe for 1 if you're vegan already, subscribe for 2 if you're not vegan, but you're open-minded to this conversation, subscribe, and put 3 if you're anti-vegan. We're live outside of a slaughterhouse. We're waiting